Stay determined. Stay determined. So my client was telling me this morning, he said he watched his sister-in-law this weekend get ready for an event. And he said he watched her get up. She did like her makeup. He watched her like change from this dress to that dress, from this dress to that dress. Does this look right with these shoes and this and that? He said they were like on a little vacation with their families. So he said he's watching all this stuff. And he said, he says, quiet as it's kept, man. He's like, my sister-in-law, she always complains about her weight. He said she doesn't have time to, make it to the gym because of her job. So he said he's watching her. And he was like, man, he's like, you do all that every day to get ready? And she was like, yeah. He's like, you literally like shuffle everything like that every day to get ready for like work? And he was like, and we going to something relaxing so you could just like throw on something. And she said, yeah. And he said, man. And he said, you don't have time to like exercise. He said to go walking, all you gotta do is throw on some sneakers and like a hoodie. he said, your day-to-day life take more time than exercise. He's like, you always asking me about training and talking to my trainer and everything. But he was like, man, he was like, if it's gonna take you that long every day to get ready, he's like, just to go do something relaxing. He was like, what are you gonna do to go to the gym? He said, all you gotta do is just throw something on and go. He was like, I think you're worried about the wrong things. He said, and he told me, he said, man, I think that's what's happening with the world, is that I said, I agree. And I said, man, I think, we live in a world and a time now where things are more outside in when they should be returning back to the inside out. People once upon a time wanted to know what a person was about. They thinking, don't get me wrong, this guy may be handsome or this girl may be pretty or something like that. But, people said that, but most times they want to know what people were about. Who they were, their character, how they were treating other people and how they would treat them. And, and now I think we live in a time where you can cover up everything. Look at social media. I can go rent a car, make you think I drive this. I can go rent a house or an apartment, make you think I live this way. I can go rent a actress, to make you think that this way. Women can do the same thing. We can go get the picture perfect little kids and take a picture, and everything is about covering up everything now instead of being real. Once upon a time in life, people were real. People wanted to know who you were, what you were about, who you come from, your roots. Once upon a time, people wanted to have an understanding. The overstanding, understanding. People wanted those things because that lets you know that you were in good hands and in good space, good company, good energy. We gotta be careful of that. We live in a time where everybody's able to cover up everything, able to hide everything, able to make everything look what is not superficial. We living in a liar's world. We living in an illusion world. We're living in a world of a big bad wizard. Somebody need to pull back a curtain. We're living in that type of world, and we should be striving to know more about a person. And think about it. In those times, I'm gonna leave you with this. Think about it. In those times, did people walk around with anxiety? Did people walk around with mental issues? Yeah, don't get me wrong. We all know, everybody had a, weird Uncle Johnny, or Aunt May was kind of off or something like that. Your mom may have did a little quirky things, or your dad may have been a little odd. But for the most part, just think about it. Was the world overran with people with anxiety and mental issues? When you got to the root of things in life and did things and got to know people and talk to people, was everyone hell bent on hate and this and that? Was everybody hell bent on your political party or your religion? Gotta think about these, man. And it's like, as much as everyone wants to run from history, If you don't know your history, you are doomed to repeat it. If you don't know your history, you are doomed to repeat it. And if someone else knows more of your history than you do, you're still doomed to repeat it, because they're going to make sure they manipulate you into repeating it. Peace. Fight for your life.